us to go. Yeah, you could be my lifeline, you could be my sunshine. In a world so full of pain, can you make it go away? Used to be so sad that love was lost, but now it's here to stay. Yeah, I used to be uncomfortable, but look at me today. Never thought I'd find someone like you, someone to show the way. But now I know you're the answer to my prayer. You and me must be right. Something's in the air, I can feel it now. You and me must do something right. We can't get enough of us. You and me every night, aiming for the stars with the love so bright. You and me must do something right. Baby, I believe in us. I believe in you and me, you and me, you and me, you and me, yeah. I believe in you and me, you and me, you and me, you and me, yeah. I'm sorry for the burden, sorry I was hurting, but my scars are almost healed. Yeah, my scars are almost healed. Yeah, I'm feeling like a child now. Everything's alright now, and it's all because of you. You made the flower in me bloom. Used to be afraid of everything, but now there's no more fear. Yeah, I used to let nobody in and hide my face with tears. But we thought of you as someone who can love someone like me. But I was wrong, baby, now I believe. You and me must be right. Something's in the air, I can feel it now. You and me must do something right. We can't get enough of us. You and me every night, aiming for the stars with the love so bright. You and me must do something right. Baby, I believe in us. I believe in you and me, you and me, you and me, you and me, yeah. I believe in you and me, you and me, you and me, you and me, yeah. You and me must be right. Something's in the air, I can feel it now.
You and me. Hey, hey, hey. Welcome in, everybody. Hey, hey, hey. Hey. And 3, 2, 1. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to the Danae Show. I am Danielle Danea, aka Danae, and I've got a lot to say. So let's get into it. The era of a supermodel is dead. Let's talk about it. So if you don't know what a supermodel is, I'll give you the definition really quickly. It's a model that is the ultimate model. The supermodel is the model who models the most expensive clothes, the highest up names, goes to the most elite parties, is just the best, at the top of the game. Maybe not the best at what they do, but at the top of their game, right? And it's just just a time that died. Like it started in the 90s. Well, actually, it's really been dead. If you do your research, like I have, you'll realize that supermodels was a term that was coined for the 5 supermodels of the 90s that were at the top of their game, like Kate Moss, Naomi Campbell, Linda Evangelista, Claudia Schiffer, and Chrissy Turlington. I think were the 5. There were others thrown in there, but those are pretty much the main ones. And yeah, no one could really be a supermodel after them. It was like they were the it factor. They were it for that time, and then it died out. And the main reason is because a lot of brands started to notice that during fashion shows, when these supermodels would walk, people would come only to see them, the supermodels, and it took the attention away from the actual clothing, from the actual brand, and designers didn't like that, so they deaded it. It was no longer a thing. Now, people have used the term after, and obviously, people like models like Naomi Campbell still modeled after the 90s, obviously, but no one could become a new supermodel. Not really. Like, they use the term now loosely with the big models of today, like Gigi Hadid, Bella Hadid, Kendall Jenner. But people that's been in the industry for years really don't, consider them supermodels because, like I said, it deaded in the 90s. But yeah, it's especially not a thing today. But even like, forget supermodels, like modeling in general is not really a thing today. It's not what it was back then. Because even if you weren't a supermodel back then, you were just a model, going out there, booking gigs, wasn't the headliner, but you were still working. You were earning a decent living in order to take care of yourself. There was models like Paulina Prokanova. I forget how to pronounce her last name. I mess it up every time. But if you look her up, model, not a supermodel, but she had a great career, ran for a long time, sustained herself for a long time. And, models of today, there's models out there, right? We have Instagram, and there's models with big followings and make a lot of money. But a lot of these models that are big now are big off of nepotism. Like Bella Hadid and Gigi Hadid, had the mother that was a former model and put them in the best situations, made sure. And Kendall Jenner, obviously her mom, Kris Jenner, put her, and made the right connections to put her in the right places to be as successful as she is. Or you were discovered super, super young, like when you were 12 years old, 13. You were scouted by a major agency, not one of these boutique regular agencies you see, on Google. No, the actual big timers like Ford Models, IMG, Lions Management, all those big names. You were discovered by them super young. Most of the time, young 20-year-olds moving to Los Angeles or moving to New York to pursue modeling don't really take off nowadays. And again, they take years struggling, thinking like, oh, this year I'm going to make it. And I get it. I was one of those models. I moved to Los Angeles. You guys know my story. I moved to Los Angeles at 20 years old. I had an agency back in Virginia, but she had connections in LA and New York. And I went to all the go-sees. I went to actual meetings set up by my agency back in Virginia, and never got signed, and I was out here doing it on my own. I sustained a pretty decent living, but at the end of the day, it really wasn't what it needed to be in order for me to do it full time. And I just want to tell so many models out here, because I see it all the time. I see it on Threads. Now, I'm not on Instagram, but I see it on Threads. Models, young girls posting their Polaroids, digitals, which are, if you don't know what digitals are, they're just pictures of these girls with little to no makeup behind a blank back, in front of, a blank background, so agencies can see how they naturally look in order to want to represent them or not. But it's just not it. It's never been it. And it's so funny. I made this statement on Threads the other day, and it was so funny. Like, I got a lot of people that agree with me that modeling is dead, and being a supermodel is extra dead. But some models pushed back on me. They were like, you need to change your mindset. You can still make it. I make money as a young model in whatever city she was in. And I was just like, oh, kudos to you, but I'm it's like, you don't know my situation, and I'm a realist. It's like, if something doesn't happen for 6 years, it's just very unlikely for that next year to be it. And again, it can happen, but most likely it's not. And it's not like something like acting where I could do it long term. Modeling is very short lived if you don't get put on when in your youth, super young. Like obviously Naomi Campbell is still a prominent name, right? But she's been modeling since she was 13 years old. I think even younger than that, right? She had to build that reputation, build those connections in order to sustain her career into her older age. So yeah, and it was so funny. But commenting back to this girl, she actually initially said, I didn't even ask her. She said she made 1,800 in 2 gigs she booked for the month, and I was just looking like, you think 1,800 is a lot of money? Like, where do you live at? It's like, it was so funny. It's just like, I know you do not like either live on your own or have a realistic view of money, because $1,800 anywhere really isn't enough, but especially a major city like New York or Los Angeles. So it's just like, if she said it's so funny. My boyfriend was like, if she said 18,000, then maybe we can have a conversation. Made 18,000 for the month, but she said 1,800. I'm just like, that ain't nothing. That isn't anything to really sustain yourself. I mean, you can if you have roommates and stuff, but to live alone and pay car bills, and for transportation. I said car already, but for food and stuff, it just doesn't add up. So yeah, and then the fact that I thought it was interesting, he also pointed out she didn't mention what she made in the prior months. Probably didn't make anything in the month before. She got these 2 gigs, and it was just like, I know how modeling works. Sometimes you have really good gigs. Trust me, I know. I did when I first got here, and what sustained me for so long in Los Angeles as being a model is I landed a Ulta beauty campaign with a talent agency I signed with, not a modeling agency, a talent agency that booked me ad campaign with Ulta, and that paid good for that just one job. But then, I love buyouts, and if you don't know what a buyout is, like an additional payment if they use. I think this is what it is. I gotta look it up, the perfect definition, but I'm pretty sure a buyout is. My understanding is what it is. When you do a job and then that they continue to use that picture or whatever, that content for a certain amount of time, or worldwide, they send you an additional check, right? So thank God I booked that right before 2020 when the whole pandemic hit and the whole world shut down, and they decided to continue to use my picture longer than initially issued. So I got paid over 50 grand for that one gig. And it was just me saving it, not splurging on a bunch of stuff that I could have been splurging on in order for me to continue to, pay my rent, get around, etc., travel to my family when need be, and so on and so forth. But those gigs, that was one gig out of the 6 years. I haven't gotten another gig like that in the whole 6 years I've been here. Other good paying gigs, but not 50 grand worth, right? So it's just like, I know, you can make a lot one month and the next month it'll be completely dry, and it could be like that even the next month. And then all of a sudden you make a whole bunch of money. It's very iffy. And it's like that with a bunch of, creatives, who work independently, but especially for modeling. And, to have that uncertainty like that, it's not a good way to live. Even people who are entrepreneurs, they have an idea, they have a realistic idea of what they're going to be making, every month, every year. With modeling, when your whole career is based on someone choosing you, it's very hard to continue to do that long term. It's very silly to do that long term. Like entrepreneurs, typically when they do better, when they put more work, they get better results, right? It's really up to them whether they're successful or not. There's some things, that do rely on other people for the most part. That's what it is, but not when it comes to modeling. So that's why I say it's dead. But it's not even dead just because of the money. It's dead because, it's very saturated now. I also mentioned in my post, and I say this all the time, like us models who, are models that can shoot, editorial campaign, can shoot a swimsuit campaign, can do a commercial, remember lines. We're also competing with influencers online. We're also competing with IG models who, are cute, can take a cute picture, but, when it comes to remembering lines or anything else, they don't know what to do. They're completely different. And then lastly, we're competing with AI. This technology has people creating their own models. They really, a lot of them feel like they don't need the real thing, especially, if they can save some money. So we're fighting so many factors that weren't a thing back in the 90s. And it's tough. Trust me, I know. That's why I'm pivoting and doing, content creation and doing acting, because no matter how pretty you are, no matter how many auditions you go to, if, like I said, if someone doesn't choose you, it's draining and it won't work out for you. So it's also, models aren't as good at today, I feel like, at the things like the supermodels were good at back then, and even not the supermodels, the successful models that were prominent names, but not at the top, like Paulina. The reason also why they were supermodels, and I left this out kind of in the definition because it's not the actual definition, but this is what the supermodels had back then. If you go and watch old videos, you'll see, like, they just had a class about them. The way they carried themselves, they were articulate. I think even some of them went to like college, and still were in school while pursuing modeling. They, had, they were well rounded. Like I said, they could shoot commercials, they can shoot editorial work, swimsuits, lingerie, print work, and they even did some acting. Naomi Campbell was in that iconic music video with Michael Jackson. What's the name? In the Closet. And a lot of them did other music videos. I think they did one all together. I forget the name of the song, but so multi-talented. And then they do Runway. So there's rarely any models that do all of those things nowadays. Either they're runway models or they're Instagram models, right? So yeah, that's another reason, like, the people don't put in the work. And, it's kind of understandable because, like I said, the time has died. And people, like I said, in the industry, high up in the industry, kind of know that. They're hopping on the wave of this new technology. So, yeah, it's kind of understandable, for models who can do both, maybe don't actually do all the things that a supermodel could do, don't do it because they feel like, why, when I'm, getting the same treatment that I would if I only did one of these well, so I get it. But to these hopeful, starry-eyed, green models moving to these major cities, we got to be realistic to what it is. I wish somebody had told me the hard truth. It would have saved me so much time when I was in my early 20s, even as a teenager. But, it is what it is. I am not ungrateful for my experiences. I landed a ton of stuff. Don't get me wrong. I've worked with people that I am so grateful to work with. I've landed opportunities that were amazing, but the money wasn't where it needed to be. The exposure wasn't where it needed to be in order for me to, like I said, pursue it full time. Again, when I say these models weren't like classy, like these supermodels, they weren't fit. It's so funny seeing all these plus size models, and it's just like the whole inclusive movement has really made me upset. It's just like, oh, you want to be rewarded for not putting in the effort that most models put in? Like, literally, since the beginning of time, we're admired for our beauty, for our fitness, for our bodies. And if you're just feeding yourself constantly and not putting any work in, there's no discipline, there's no effort, what should you be rewarded for? Why am I giving you a pat on the back? Why am I excited to stand next to you on a shoot when I'm doing 2-hour workouts, making sure I look good for the shoot? Like, it's ridiculous. That's one thing. They don't eat healthy. They don't work out. They don't take care of their skin. These are all things also supermodels had back in the 90s. Don't believe me? Go check. All their skins was say like the 90s qualities. The quality of the video, the video quality back in the 90s was very bad. So it made it seem like things were better than they were. Like I would watch like old movies or like with Halle Berry in it, and she literally looked perfect. She probably was, but she looked even more perfect because the quality was so bad it couldn't like zoom in on any imperfections. Right? Whereas today the technology is so good. I remember watching a movie, Anyone But You, with Sydney Sweeney. And like, I was like, this girl is gorgeous, but you could see like every imperfection, every bag, every little pore. It was like, dang. It was like, it's like, dang, you can see all the imperfections. But anyway, well, from what I could see, looked like they had their skin together, looked like they had their makeup together, hair, all that, And with models today, it's like the effort's kind of put in with those things, but not to the level that it was back then. But, I think that modeling is a great hobby or a side job, right? I think, if you're doing it, but also a lot of models that commented back to me on Threads were saying they modeled but did something else. And I think that's fantastic. And it's like, but I also don't want somebody who really wants to fulfill it full time, to be mad at me and could be mad at me for saying what I'm saying. But I'm just like, I'm a realist, and I've seen so many girls like me come to LA, think they're going to make it, and then end up moving back home. That even happened when the pandemic hit. A lot of the models I worked with moved back home. It's just, like I said, I'm a realist. So, and I want this to be in the back of your minds. I want you to wake up after 2.5 years, 3 years max. If it hasn't happened for you yet, it's just more likely that it won't happen. And there's nothing wrong with that. You could pivot and do something else like acting, content creating, hosting. And who knows, that might actually lead you to get somebody to see you that can actually put you in the position to be a full-time model. Who knows? But again, you have to be mindful of the truth and realize what times we live in. And like I said, when you're competing with all these other things, you gotta, you'd be a needle in a, you'd be looking, you'd be looking for a needle in a haystack. Yeah, basically, you're looking for something that is dang near impossible to grasp on, unless, like I said, if you had the connections, or if you were scouted, or you were born into a family, like I said, that would look out for you and make sure you met the right people, you said the right things, you were at the right events. Because it's a lot goes into it. Like, I remember I was looking up like Bella Hadid on Instagram, and there was all these things that saying she went to film school. I forget the name of the school, but like there was her parents put her in a position super early when she was a kid, making sure she was doing things in order to get the success she got now. Like, people only see like when she became a teenager and got the nose job, and then, started modeling and lost the weight and everything. But there was steps put into place in order for her to even get in a room with the right agency and stuff like that, right? Because I think her mom could have easily called and be like, but, again, people like to work with people that know and that they know and know they like the person that's coming to them. So it's just always better. It's a strategy to get in early. And again, when you get in, when you're late to the game at 22, it's like you're competing again with people who's been in the game since birth, right? Gigi Hadid was modeling at 5 years old, right? Kitty campaigns. She was in the position. Her parents made sure she made the right connections in order to get the success and fame that she got, right? So yeah, it's dead. Anybody who says otherwise is just lying to themselves. You know, I seen articles. People are even hesitant to call, like I said, Bella Hadid a supermodel because these people writing these articles are experts on what this term means and knows that, again, the term died in the 90s. And, you know, to call, you know, somebody who kind of had to hand it to her a supermodel, like nobody, I'm pretty sure none of the supermodels had like models that put them on. They were all discovered super young or like competed. I think they all were just discovered. I think all of them were. So yeah, it's like, you're not really a supermodel because you don't really have the talents. And if you do kind of have the talents, I think Bella Hadid is the greatest model ever. Don't get me wrong. I think she killed it. Even though she was privileged, she could have just, you know, not lost the weight and did the bare minimum, but she is killing it out here. But she was, you know, handed the opportunity as which is different from, you know, like someone like Naomi Campbell and Christy Turlington. And even though Bella Hadid has definitely had has class and, you know, is well-rounded, but like I said, she was kind of groomed to be those things instead of it being natural. So yeah, so if people are hesitant to even call her supermodel, this woman with millions of followers, highest up in the game, you know, like it's not really a thing. People are just carrying it because, like I said, the 90s was just a it time. So people are like carrying those memories into today because it was just great when it came to fashion, when it came to people, when it came to everything. Like, I wish I was there. I was born in 98, so I did not get to experience this. But I've seen old videos and watched old movies, heard things about people that, you know, lived past it, through it. So yeah, it was just a great time, and people are trying to hang on to it because it was so great. But the term is dead. It's not worth it. I'm telling you. But if you're going to pursue it, just make sure you have a plan B. That's all I'm going to say. Because everybody's a model. Everywhere I go in LA. Pretty girl. Yeah, I model. Even if it's so funny, even if they work at a clinic, they'll say they're a model, right? If they have a lot of followers on Instagram, they're a model by default, right? So it's just not it. It's not a thing, and it's not the flex that you think it is. When you go out saying you're a model, it's like, oh, okay. Yeah, and you know, again, I hate that it's dying or dead, because again, I was the main one trying to keep it alive. But you got to acknowledge truth, and I speak nothing but the truth. But if you're a model watching this, don't be discouraged. Again, just figure out the truth for you. What's happening in your life? If you haven't booked a gig, a high-paying gig, and I'm telling you, $800 a month is not a lot of money. So funny, gigs today. It's so funny. I'm telling you, modeling gigs today pay. If you're starting out, they'll pay from $100 for a lot of hours to like $300, and then the high-paying gigs to people is $800 to $1,000, which is crazy because I guarantee you the supermodels back then and even Paulina was making thousands a month. Thousands. And the ones that weren't, weren't pursuing it long term. Knew, they got to get their ish together. Either got married or got another job or did whatever, right? Got out of it super early. Like I always, y'all remember this? If you know what I'm talking about, Yasmin Guri. She was like a superstar, supermodel, only she left the industry. No bad blood, no nothing. She was just like, F this. She got married. She had a bunch of kids, stay off social media, and just lived her best life. And I was like, did Yasmin Guri know something we don't know? Or did she just not want to do it anymore? And it's crazy because she was so good. She was so good. If you look up her and her runway walk, iconic, literally. People are obsessed with her. And she, again, didn't even, she only did it for a little while. But yeah, part of me wonders, like, did she know this was only going to be short-lived, and she valued family and raising kids over that because it was just like, this isn't worth it. This isn't worth it. So yeah, keep that in mind. Look at your bank account. Honestly, sit back, sign into your bank account, look at it. And if you've been here for years and you're struggling, it might be time to pivot, sis. Or sir. Male models too, but it seems like this is more of a female model thing. It's dead, but, hope is still alive. You can do other things, right? Like I said. You gotta learn how to adapt. Gotta adapt or die. That's all it is. And that's all I'm going to say about that. All right, guys, if you like this video, please like this video. If you are subscribed, please subscribe and comment always, because I love to hear you guys' opinions and thoughts. I love you guys, and I will see you next time. All right, bye.
Aquel día el instinto nos decía que esa noche juntico no quería, que las ganas bebé nos quemaría, pero no fue así. Vamos lento, ya, que si nos apuramos no disfrutamos del momento, ya, y lo vamos a arruinar. Dale lento, ya, dile a tus amigas que hoy no vas para afuera, que estás en la escuela y vamos a jugar. Ella sabe que quiero a mi mamacita. Ella también quiere que seamos felices. Ella, la que se apresura a la vueltica. Ella es sin timidez. Como la ves no le importa dónde y cuándo. Pero nada no es, yo no soy el que la mando. Nunca lo seré, su carácter no es de niña, que la puede controlar cualquiera. Y me encanta, yo lo sé, independiente. Vamos lento y verás, y me encanta, yo lo sé, independiente. Vamos lento y verás. Vamos lento, ya, que si nos apuramos no disfrutamos del momento, ya, y lo vamos a arruinar. Dale lento, ya, dile a tus amigas que hoy no vas para afuera, que estás en la escuela y vamos a los 7 días de la semana. Te doy de mañana y consejos sabes que no es. Te doy el desquite, que me quites todas esas ganas que te tengo muerto. Todo el mundo sabe que tú y yo somos más que pan.